The Research Wing at Duke University Hospital horror story, to be narrated for YouTube video, OP&ING Hook. Duke University Hospital in Durham, North Carolina, stands like a Gothic cathedral of medicine against the Carolina sky. With its towering spires and stone facades, it looks more like something from a Victorian nightmare than a modern medical facility. But for those of us who worked there, we knew the real horror wasn't in its appearance. It was in what happened behind the doors. Marked Research Wing, authorized personnel only. My name is Dr. Marcus Williams, and I was a neurology fellow at Duke. I thought I understood the boundaries of medical ethics, the limits of human experimentation. I was wrong, dead wrong, and what I discovered in the basement research labs will make you question everything you think you know about the oath doctors take to do no harm. The story. It was late November 2022, and I had been working at Duke for 8 months. The hospital has this reputation for being at the cutting edge of medical research, breakthrough treatments, experimental procedures, the kind of work that makes medical history. But there was always this underlying tension among the staff, this unspoken rule that you didn't ask to. Many questions about certain projects. The research wing was off limits to most personnel. You needed special clearance, specific keycards, and even then, most people avoided it. The few researchers who worked there were different. They kept to themselves. Never joined us for lunch in the cafeteria. Never participated in hospital social events. They moved through the halls like ghosts, always carrying locked briefcases and speaking in hushed tones. My curiosity got the better of me on November 23rd. I was pulling a double shift in the neurology ICU when I noticed something strange. 3 patients had been transferred out of my unit in the past week, all brain trauma cases, all young, all supposedly being moved to specialized care facilities that no one could name. That's when I met Rebecca. She was a night janitor who had been working at Duke for over 20 years. Rebecca had seen everything, the good, the bad, and the things that shouldn't exist. We got to talking during one of those quiet 3 a.m. moments when the hospital feels like a tomb. "Dr. Williams," she said, looking around nervously, "you seem like a good man. You care about your patients." I told her I tried to. Then stay away from the research wing. Some things happening down there, They ain't right. They ain't Christian. But Rebecca's warning only made me more determined to find out what was really going on. 2 nights later, I made my move. I had noticed that Dr. Elizabeth Hartwell, the research wing director, often forgot to fully close her office door when she left for the evening. Around midnight, I slipped inside and found what I was looking for, her master keycard. The research wing felt different the moment I stepped inside. The air was colder, thick with the smell of formaldehyde, and something else, something organic and wrong. The fluorescent lights flickered intermittently, casting dancing shadows on the walls, lined with old medical portraits. Stern-faced doctors from decades past, who seemed to watch my every move. I followed the main corridor past empty offices and dark laboratories, until I reached the elevator at the far end. There were buttons for floors I didn't know existed. Sub-basement level 1, 2, and 3. According to hospital blueprints, there should have been nothing below the main basement. I pressed sub-basement, level 3. The elevator descended for what felt like minutes, much deeper than should have been possible. When the doors finally opened, I stepped into a nightmare that still haunts my dreams. The hallway stretched endlessly in both directions, lined with observation windows. Through the glass, I could see hospital beds, each occupied by a patient, connected to machines I didn't recognize. But these weren't patients in any traditional sense. Their heads were partially shaved, with metal ports surgically implanted directly into their skulls. Wires and tubes connected them to towering computers that hummed and beeped with data I couldn't comprehend. But the most horrifying part was their eyes, wide open, aware, tracking movement, but unable to speak or move their bodies. I recognized the third patient I saw. It was Jennifer Martinez, a 24-year-old who had been brought in after a motorcycle accident 3 weeks earlier. According to her chart, she had been transferred to a rehabilitation facility. But here she was, trapped in some kind of experimental hell, her consciousness imprisoned while machines monitored every neural impulse. That's when I heard footsteps behind me. Dr. Williams, I was wondering when you'd find your way down here. I turned to see Dr. Hartwell approaching, flanked by 2 security guards I'd never seen before. She was smiling, but it was the kind of smile a predator gives its prey. "What is this place?" I demanded. "The future of neurology," she said calmly. These patients were all brain dead, or close to it, when they arrived. Instead of letting that neural tissue go to waste, we found a way to preserve consciousness while mapping every synapse, every thought pattern. We're creating the most detailed map of human consciousness ever attempted. They're aware, I whispered. They know what's happening to them. A necessary sacrifice for the advancement of medical science. Think of what we'll learn. Think of the diseases we'll cure. I looked back at Jennifer Martinez. A single tear was rolling down her cheek. "You're torturing them," I said. "We're studying them. There's a difference." Dr. Hartwell nodded to the security guards, and I felt hands grab my arms. But then something unexpected happened. The lights went out. In the darkness, I heard something impossible. The sound of electrical equipment shutting down, of machines powering off one by one. Emergency lighting flickered on, casting everything in a hellish red glow. And then I saw them. The patients in the beds were moving, not their bodies. Those remained paralyzed, but something else was moving around them, translucent shapes that looked almost human. The consciousness that had been trapped in those bodies was finding another way to manifest. The ghost-like figures turned toward Dr. Hartwell with expressions of pure rage. Impactful ending. I don't remember exactly how I escaped. I have vague memories of running through corridors while screams echoed behind me, of taking stairs 3 at a time until I reached the main hospital. When security reviewed the cameras the next morning, they showed me entering the research wing, but never leaving. Dr. Hartwell and her team were found dead in the sub-basement level 3 laboratory. The official cause was listed as electrical malfunction, some kind of power surge that stopped their hearts simultaneously. The patients hooked up to the experimental equipment had all flatlined at the exact same moment. The research wing was sealed permanently after that. They told the press it was due to structural concerns, but I know the truth. Some experiments should never be conducted. Some boundaries should never be crossed. I left Duke the next week and moved to a small clinic in rural Virginia. I don't do research anymore. I just treat patients, help them heal, and try to sleep at night without thinking about those tear-filled eyes staring at me from behind observation glass. But sometimes, late at night, when I'm alone in my clinic, I swear I can hear the sound of machines humming in the distance. And I wonder if Dr. Hartwell was right about one thing, if consciousness really can exist beyond the physical body. Because if it can, then somewhere beneath Duke University Hospital, in laboratories that officially don't exist, there might still be voices crying out for someone to set them free. The next time you're a patient in any hospital, remember this: not every doctor took the Hippocratic Oath to heart, and not every medical breakthrough comes from a place of healing. Some knowledge comes with a price that's too terrible to pay.